So, I feel like who I am is based a lot off of my family. They raised me to be the person that I am today, and when I got older, I began to evaluate my values and views of society, and I was happy with what I saw. But most importantly, I still feel that I was able to be my own person. This was mostly because of the environment that I grew up in. My parents wanted us to be unique, and they led by example. Considering the amount of different influences that we had, I'm not surprised that we became our own people. For example, my dad's side of the family is Irish, and he grew up Catholic. But he and his siblings strayed far from the religion after a brief time in Catholic school, and even though it hasn't been explicitly said, I'm pretty sure they're atheist. On the other hand, each other, religion my brother and I chose. But it did affect religion as well. I never understood the importance of religion, and thus rational aspects that I experienced people forcing on others, being against on their religion. Really, because I could not institutions like politics or through traditions, I just family the same way that being able to have discussion with family is also really nice. It allows me to put it out loud. But these discussions remind me that I exactly like my generational aspect is interesting. For example, and there was came home and said, got told today we're not allowed to call wire cutters dykes. I don't get it. And first times to only woman, I have some feelings accepting. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they're, but I still feel that it's me to bring their attention to where I breathe in environments. He was born young and foreclosed, and later the mom was to Seattle. They studied in a class white suburb, boundaries of a rated school district. And 8th grade, and to my child, I remember getting a birthday of that I didn't realize were privileged. Later on, mom told me kind of environment my brother grew up in. Well, he was when they were having to things Miss President. And he's really careful, even though he didn't have to be. But me at 21 created my own in there. I was able to understand what my mom was past. I thought about how different economic status and had I been a few years earlier, had I ever relocated. Importantly, it forces me to not take things that I have examples of personality in my own home. My age hasn't only affected with my I've also been just on it. I look a lot younger than many people my age. From a young age, to me, that I'm more mature than a lot of people my age and experience a lot of the stereotypes that people who are young. An example of this is when I stopped. I worked at a corporation 4 years, and when I figured I transferred to there. And with a lot of experience, and my inner impressed. But when I met him, he disregarded my experience, and I was Brandfield. And when with kids, even in front of the kids, and it really bad experience. And I was doing exactly what I did in Seattle. I was confused why, and went to another church. She told my two support, and this is for him that I was not capable or experienced. I ended up quitting after finding out because I was too prove that even though I'm young, capable, experienced. To this day, I still face barrier age, but I'm aware of the work to come. I thought that it was at people's ability because of my also interest in other genres when I tell ability and ability. Before I started taking classes at Western, I thought I was focused on languages or advanced. But after further education, I realized that there's a whole other layer but our physical ability. I'm an able person, and I don't feel saying that a disability illness aspects of my life. Generalized anxiety disorder, I manage it with medication. And it does restrict my day-to-day activity. Part of the reason I feel comfortable with a disability. It becomes in a scenario. Before I graduated high school, I will learn about people's anxiety. I thought of myself as being affected by that. But after all my spread across the country first, while at home, community college, I had no problem going to a community college. The problem that was coping with everyone once. I still kept a high school friend. I had a system at beyond my family. When I began from anxiety and depression, it was really tough just to rely on my family. They didn't always understand. Judged me if I called into work. Me to get to me. It was then that I understood that I didn't quite know how to deal with mental illness. Through that, but it definitely wasn't the end. Transitioning very hard with mine, and there was to take some time. It made me think about those with disabilities, my parents and what and in a way, it inspired me to be aware of other abilities or disabilities. All of them category to have a few things in common by my family. All forced me to on the mold and ideal that I want. All push me to be a person of others. And they really I am. The most is on my and they're what pushed me spoken person expressing their belief. College has been a point for me how I view others. But before starting college though, I was with people the same values I did. In middle school, I had a friend, her and I were close. though, she smoked relatively off because of my detail made me look at her very. I placed to the stereotype. I saw her unmotivated. Amazingly, we began to grow apart and more understanding of people and their choices. I wondered why I acted the way. It's definitely courage and a view of weed, so I was influenced by it. But then I remembered that my friends are very smoking. The stereotype of my friend. During school, I was started to see their lens. That is when I was judgmental. They were constantly judging me, and I didn't know that I began doing that. Luckily, I had a new group of high school, but even then, knowing that room to improve my view, college really helped and learned accepting of others, how to see a person's lens. I remember in my first class at my college, who was polyamorous. I wasn't sure with the environment that my college inspired me to learn more about it. Middle school, high school, and elementary was a critical experience, but I realized I was as white, so I was exposed to a lot of ways of life. It was really dominated by people. So I thought that I was missing, and that's why I went to college. I all the different position cultures, but I meant that me to and learn about new people. I'm a person at times too much. While it can sometimes, it's what I'm working at the wine, but because I needed a job in different places and her nuck. I had Facebook and was a camp. That led to school year child, and 1 year later, still working and genuinely it. There was one moment in particular made me realize I wanted to be a teacher. Trying to get the clean up before the next step. I was in the room, making sure everyone. I suddenly had different kids all going, Miss Cole, all trying for one reason or looked down at all the 2 of them literally attacked. I had an epiphany about every kid's and to see them succeed. Later on, add on to that, succeed on definition, but phrase for word went through my. It's so because such an important moment. After having, I determined and career in teaching. I talked to people at the school I worked at, volunteering in class. The drive mirrors me as a person because I set on a goal or idea, and it drove much of my passion and action. Time in class with kids to the teacher I want to be. I've been able to observe many different teaching settings. I also got to different populations through my experience. Doing realize that teaching just testing. Being a teacher, I also feel opportunity for me to incorporate my own and experience. I want to help good people. But there was a polarized that definition of good and someone else's. Definitions of someone a good person if they're maybe smart or if they have a personally being a good person means you're respectful and accepting of others. But I'm saying that this is based on how family and I worked for a long time, and one of their quizzes was everything we did in the studio, and it has become a part of as a person. But experiencing my parents, closed-minded, I to be accepted. Something that I learned how to do. And not only do I have stronger relations, better about myself. In the end, I understand that I'll have teaching the students, obviously. One that I've learned is I also need to create a community environment based on an understanding. And my student with a longing in the world and of how to learn